There's a interesting Meshach Chochma, Rameir Simcha HaKohen, on Parashas BaMidbar, which he talks about the theme of the Levium, that the Levium take care of the Kohanim. So the Meshach Chochma makes the following observation. First, he goes back, tells us about a Gemara in Megillah. The Gemara in Megillah tells us the concept of Kedusha. There are different levels of Kedusha. So the Gemara says in Megillah, Tashmishe Kedusha Nikvarim, that something which is labeled Tashmishe Kedusha you bury, Tashmishe Mitzvah Nizrakim. Tashmishe Mitzvah you throw out. So something, so a mantle of a Sefer Torah, the Torah itself is Kadosh, the mantle is on the Sefer Torah, that's Tashmishe Kedusha. If something happens to the mantle, so you go ahead and you have to bury it. But Tashmishe Mitzvah, in theory, after you finish the Mitzvah of Lulav, Kolzman, you're involved in Mitzvah has the Kedusha. But when the Mitzvah is over, in theory, Tashmishe Mitzvah Nizrakim, the Tshuvas Rashba writes, you should do a derech kavod. You shouldn't just throw it in the garbage. You should put it into a special bag and then put it in. So that's the Gemara in Megillah. Tashmishe Kedusha Nikvarim and Tashmishe Mitzvah Nizrak. In fact, there's a whole discussion about the parochas. That the parochas, we assume is Tashmishe Kedusha. The Gemara assumes it's Tashmishe Kedusha. Because Zman HaGemara, they used to take the parochas off, and by Kriyas Torah, they used to put it down on the table and used to lay the Torah on top of the parocha. So since it was used kavua, so therefore touching the Sefer Torah itself, so therefore it's the din of Tashmishe Kedusha. Tashmishe Mitzvah, but Bizman Hazeh, that we don't use it for that purpose. People will just take a talis and fold it on the table. The talis they won't use all the time. It'll just be something harai, so it doesn't take on that level. So perhaps today the parochas wouldn't have a status of Tashmishe Kedusha. It have a status of Tashmishe Tashmis to Tashmis once removed. So that's the whole discussion. Perhaps maybe that's something done totally l'kavod ha'aron, then maybe would take on a status of Tashmishe, because that's the whole shaila about the Aron Kodesh. The Gemara tells us in Megillah the Aron Kodesh is Tashmishe Kedusha. The question is why? It should be a Tashmish to Tashmish. The Torah is in the manto, and the manto touches the ark. So why is the Aron Tashmishe Kedusha? So the Karban Nisana already writes that he thinks only Bizman HaGemara, when they used to put the Sefer Torah in our room without any cover. They were very poor. They didn't have, every Sefer Torah didn't have its own cover, so they used to put them in naked and pick out the Torah they wanted. So then that's when the Gemara says that the Ara had a status of Tashmishe Kedusha. Bizman Hazeh, that we have our own covers, so the Ara wouldn't have a din of Tashmishe Kedusha. We don't paskin back to Karban Nisana. So what's the reason why then we assume an Aron Kodesh is Tashmishe Kedusha? That's what the whole purpose is. Well, kavod or l'sevaras, in order to give kavod to the Sefer Torah. Or be some point out, it's also for shmira, but that's a separate issue. In fact, that's the reason why with the Levium, when they used to watch the Beis HaMikdash, besides for the security, it was more l'kavod l'sevaras, that they have the guards up there and the changing of the guards, so it looks more covered there. So either way, we have this principle of Tashmishe Kedusha Nikvarim, Tashmishe Mitzvah, Tashmishe Tashmish Nizrakim. But the Gemara never gives us a source for this halacha. So the Ruchaim Elazhin claims the source is Kfura, that we're the ones who, that what is a Jew have to get buried, because a Jew It's Gufa Kedusha, and therefore you Gufa Kedusha, so therefore you'll have to be buried. But the Meshech Chochmah wants to say what is the sources in this week's parsha. It says the Levium took care of the Kohanim, so the Mizbeach, the Karbanos themselves, that was Kedusha. The Kohanim who brought the Karbanos, that Tashmishe Kedusha, and the Levium who took care of the Kohanim, they're only a Tashmish and they have no Kedusha. So that's what the Meshech Chochmah, that's the source of the halacha of Tashmishe Kedusha and the Gvarim, Tashmishe Mitzvah and Nizrakim. He claims the Levium, the Meshech Chochmah claims the Levium have no Kedusha. In fact, that's what he wants to say. By Ma'aser Rishon, can be given to someone else, but Truma can't be because Kohanim are Kadosh, and therefore totally for them, but the Levi doesn't have any Kedusha. So that's the Chiddush of the Meshech Chochmah. That's a major discussion. Rav Levi mean Barditcha, that wrote the Sefer Kedusha's Levi, could be Cholek, and want to say that the Levium have Kedusha. And others talk about there's a concept of Shevet Levi, there's a concept of Kedusha's Levi, so that's the whole discussion. That's the Chiddush of the Meshech Chochmah. The Meshech Chochmah wants to say this is the source of the halacha, and his Chiddush is that Levium don't have any Kedusha, they're only a tashmish, and therefore the food isn't holy as well, and even a zar could have it. In Parshas BaMidbar, we read about the golem, the flags, and the flags demonstrated exactly where the shvatim, where the different tribes should go. They should be centered around the Aron, and they each had their own place. There really is no mitzvah ledoros. There is no halachic significance for future generations in terms of how the tribes were set up. It was what a horasha. It was a time for a certain time period. So the question is, Bisman Hazeh, in our time, is there any significance to the flags? And specifically, is there any significance to the Israeli flag? And since 1948, we have our Israeli flag. The Magen David, that's been around for much longer. But in terms of significance to the flag, is there any significance? So they once asked Rav Soloveitchik about, is there any significance to the Israeli flag? So he pointed out, we know there is no halacha ledoros for the flags. It's only a horasha we find in the Midbar. Each person went to the appropriate spot. However, Rav Soloveitchik thinks Bizman Hazeh, he thinks there's a sif in Shulchan Aruch that demonstrates the importance of the flag, that it's shaykh to the Degel HaMedina. So we know there's a halacha of kfura. Tavar tikbareno bayomahu. We have a mitzvah of burial. We have a biblical commandment of burial. And the Gemara in Sanhedrin goes into a discussion what the nature is, but we paskin kfura is a mitzvah in our Torah. And really, me'ikar adin, really, one should be buried in the ground directly. That's the practice in Eretz Yisrael. In North America, we have to have coffins, so therefore we have a minhag to make holes on bottom, put some earth from Eretz Yisrael, do go from offer to offer. But there's a halacha of kfura. Normally we bury a person as soon as possible. The quicker the body decomposes, the quicker the atonement. So why is it the quicker the body decomposes, the quicker the atonement? And it's all about kavod hamei. So that's why the Mishnah tells us in Sanhedrin that if it takes time for family to come in, so then we wait out Kaveh May, so the children should be here. So that's halacha of Kfura. So it used to be at one point that when they used to be buried, people were buried in different clothing. Until the Shatanam Tiknu Sheyikvru Esakol B'Tachrichim Pshutim. Until the Tanam came along and instituted everyone should be buried in simple Tachrichim, in simple gowns. The Tachrichim that a person is buried with, like people use a kitto at Pesach. And that's what it says in Yerideh, She'ein Korban Ameis B'Tachrichim Yikarev. You don't bury the dead in fine clothing. Afil Nasi Sheba Yisrael. Even if he's the head of Klal Yisrael, everyone gets treated the same. You get buried in simple clothing. Vayin Sham B'Shem Harishonim Shem Matzu Yisrael. So there's a halach of the Chevra Kadisha. Every person the body gets cleaned up and you put the Tachrichim on. However, there's a halach in Shulchan Aruch, Shematzu Yisrael Harag. That's how you find a Jew killed, murdered. Yikvaru Kamo Shematzu Below Tachrichim. Then you should bury him without Tachrichim. You should leave him the way he is. Shatam Lamin Exehu Kidei Lahalos Chema. The purpose of this custom is Lahamos Chema, when the God should, that Shemina Shamayim Yiru, the God should atone the enemy, should kill the enemy, take the come on the enemy, etc. And therefore, it should be Ma'oreh Rachamim. So therefore, so Hechshan is Tanak Ro Mishar Meisim. So why is this person different? V'yaru bazeh Rachamei Shamayim. V'chein Hishve Sefer Chasidim Ba'yish Nargu Bo Al Kiddush Hashem, like someone who's killed Al Kiddush Hashem. V'adam Nosun Al Achoma Ba'alabanim. The blood goes on the walls and the stones. So U'Babayis Ba'Latoach B'Tzid Kiras Bayis Es Adam Lo Yavor. You shouldn't put anything over it. Shenemar, etc. That's what the Sefer Chasidim quotes a meaning like that also. So it should be over Rachamim, like I saw in one of Rabbi Blech's, I think it was one of his idiot's guides to Judaism. He quotes the Maisa that someone asked Rav Moshe Feinstein, for some reason he had the garments from Auschwitz he kept, and he wanted to be buried in those Auschwitz garments instead of Tachrichim, and Rav Moshe said it was okay. So the same type of thing, that the garment should be Ma'oreh Rachamim and take revenge on the enemy. So he says, he says, Yesh Gomo Gabi Dego HaMedina, regarding Dego HaMedina, Shabasof Melchemes HaShechrua Kava, that basically at the end, when the United Nations is going to give out the land, whoever, so to speak, put out the flags, whoever would put out the flags, that's how much land they were going to get. So all the soldiers, men, women, children, went out, and they were going out risking their lives in order to get more land. And he said he was watching, I guess this is movie about what happened, and in the movie, one of the soldiers were sticking a flag in different places to make the boundaries bigger, and he was killed, and the blood went on the flag. So every time, every time he sees an Israeli flag, he thinks about the Dama Harag, he thinks about the blood on it, and therefore that's what he thinks. That the Dego HaMedina is to Ma'oreh Rachamim, and all the people who have given up their lives, L'Hakim Dego Yehudi, L'Fichach Amar Rabbeinu, Shalafi Geder Dego HaMedina, who Kavchinas Big Day Aharag. You think the flag is like the Sif and Shulchan Aruch about the clothing of the dead? Shezeh Sava L'Shvichas Dam, that represents the killing of the Jewish people. V'zeh Shadego Ahu, it should bring Rachamei Shamayim al Am Yisrael. And therefore that's the concept. And and to show all the, and to fully appreciate all the Mesiras Nefesh. So that's what Rav Soloveitchik said, that even though we don't have any halacha l'doros about a dego, but there's really flag, it's ma'or rachamim, it's like I said for Shulchan Aruch about the beged harug.